I grew up with a strong sense of patriotism. My father was in the Army for the first 20 years of my life. My parents taught me when I was little about respecting the flag and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Growing up as a military brat, as they called us, I had many experiences that had a strong impact on me. There were many times I didn't see my dad for long periods. Sometimes my dad would be called out on a moment's notice. We wouldn't know if he was being sent to fight or if it was a drill. I more than appreciate what the soldiers of our country do for us and the sacrifices they make. It takes someone with a deep love of our country to want to sacrifice time with their own family, even if it might mean never coming home to them. My patriotism grew from these roots. I love the United States of America. I have a deep passion for its history and culture. I am grateful to be able to raise my children in a land where freedom is the driving principle and capitalism provides opportunity. I would never want to live anywhere else. Looking back on the morning of September 11th, 2001, my patriotism was challenged along with everyone else's. I lived in Colorado at the time. I remember waking up to my alarm around 7 a.m. The newscaster was giving the on the top of the hour news roundup. He mentioned that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. Since it had just happened just a few minutes before, they didn't have any other information at that time. I was barely awake at this point. It was thousands of miles away, and I thought it might have been a small aircraft lost or something. I brushed it off as a freak accident. At 7:30, the half-hour news roundup came on. The newscaster reported that a second plane had hit the tower of the World Trade Center. I jolted out of bed. I knew right then it was no longer an accident. I walked over to the TV and turned it on. Of course, by then, every channel had eyes on what was happening in New York City. It wouldn't be long before we would hear about a third incident at the Pentagon, and then eventually a fourth in Pennsylvania. If it wasn't clear before, it was crystal clear now. We were under attack. I felt a wide range of emotions as I watched: anger, worry, sadness, fear. Then I remembered my mother was working in Manhattan for a contract at the time. I immediately called her cell phone. Fortunately, she did not go to New York that week and was at home in Texas. She was watching the events unfold on TV just like I was. We both talked as we watched the World Trade Center towers collapse on live TV. We were just in shock over what was happening. Where were you on 9/11? What do you remember most from that time? Share your thoughts in the chat below. I will never forget that day. The pain it caused everyone varies depending on how we were connected to those events. I was glad my mother was nowhere near the events of that day, but I was still sad for those who lost loved ones. I was also sad for the hole that was punctured into the heart of the United States of America. Then, something amazing happened in the days and weeks that followed this tragedy. Flags began to pop up everywhere. People started showing gratitude and kindness to one another in so many different ways. Neighbors talked to each other. Strangers hugged one another for comfort. Leaders inspired us. Patriotism became the theme for weeks afterwards. I felt an even deeper love for this country, as did everyone else. When we started sending soldiers off to war, the patriotism grew even more than ever for me. Sadly, this period of incredible patriotism has faded into our history. Fast forward to today, and we have a much different landscape. Political parties refuse to work together for the common good. Party spokesmen find every opportunity to point fingers and lay blame in order to paint a picture of their innocence for public opinion polls. Now, leaders have resorted to name-calling and even accusing each other of bigotry and hate speech in order to rile up their base. Meanwhile, those bystanders who are intently watching and soaking in every word are all but ready to bear pitchforks and torches to march and destroy the very fabric of what our country stands for. Their newest technological weapon of choice: social media. From the safety of their home or office, they can type away a fiery, scathing message to share their feelings over being offended by the latest political decision or announcement. Or even worse, fire a torpedo of rage at someone who did something they simply don't agree with. If someone goes too far with their soapbox rants, all they have to do is simply delete their account in the hopes that all will be forgiven. I am no doctor, but if I were to take a stab at making a diagnosis, I would venture to say that our country is depressed as a whole. Not financially this time, spiritually and emotionally. Our national identity is in serious crisis. Never before in my memory has there been such a lack of hope and optimism. There is always anger and irritability. A lack of self-responsibility is lost. Hatred is the new addiction that once in its grips is very hard to walk away from. Blame and shame have become the new fashion statement. There's a new level of sadness that we have never experienced in modern times. The sensitivity levels are so high that everyone is easily offended and hurt over the slightest things. How do we solve our national depression? What we have to do is regain our sense of patriotism. To accomplish that, we only have to start in one place. We have to start with ourselves. Think back to 9/11. Did you put up a flag outside your home after that dreadful day? Did you feel like your neighbors were your friends, were one with you in tragedy? Did you pray for the first time in a long time? Did you suddenly feel, for the first time like I did, that we were united for a common cause, the cause of liberty? Did you feel the need to fight the oppression of evil and hatred that were demonstrated in 4 vicious and disgusting acts by a group of cowards? As a nation and individually, we have allowed ourselves to become the victim of our own national circumstances. We allow the actions and statements of others to control our lives and subsequently our responses. In simpler terms, we allow the world to run over us while we choose to lay down in the middle of the road as if to think we couldn't stop it from happening. If we stop allowing ourselves to feel victimized and actually work on finding ways to make changes in the way we handle world events around us, we begin to change the narrative. Replacing blame and shame with gratitude and kindness will go a long way towards changing the mindset. One of the worst sources of victimization is the news. I will be the first to admit that I am a news junkie. I enjoy reading and watching the news. I used to consume news on a constant basis. It had a direct impact on my mood and my view of the world. When I was forced to give up my satellite TV, however, I had to go without my major news sources. Over time, I found myself much happier, feeling less depressed about the state of the world. I still read the news today, but much less than I used to, and I'm careful with my news sources. I want to make a suggestion to everyone this Patriots Day. Turn off the news. Don't watch it on TV. Don't stream it on your device. And don't read it from your newspaper or your phone. Just avoid it. If you can avoid it for a day, then try a week. My challenge to everyone today for Patriots Day is to go 1 week without the news. See what happens to you when you disconnect from the depressive state of our country that is continually broadcast on our TVs. You may find that you will want to follow the news less. I have found the news in today's form is simply not healthy. In fact, it borders on brainwashing. It's important to find a news outlet that will provide you with facts only. This is really hard to do, but avoid opinion pieces or media outlets that use their main stories to steer your opinion away from the basic facts. After the challenge, come back and tell me how things went. How do you feel after avoiding the news for a week? In fact, share this video with friends you think would be interested in my 1 week challenge to avoid the news. Spread the word and let's see if more people can get on board with this idea. In order to return patriotism back to our country, we must reduce the depressive influences around us. What we take in will affect us. We need to be grateful to live in a country that gives us so many freedoms. Gratitude will be the most important medicine to cure this country's depression. Be grateful for those who sacrificed their lives on this day and on so many other days in our history so that we can continue to live free. Once we feel and show more gratitude, perhaps we will begin to feel that love of country we once knew, that great patriotism we experienced during those first few days after 9/11. May God bless those that serve this country, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much for making it to the end of my video. It means the world to me that you stuck it out all the way to the end. Make sure you subscribe below because I'm just getting started and I'm going to be adding more content on a regular basis.